This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of Star Wars Outlaws. And being fully honest, this game it's fine. Nothing really incredible about it, but it's not completely terrible. It does have a lot of flaws, but I don't completely hate this game. As you saw, it took just such a long time for me to play it, and there was no huge desire for me to finish it. The story wasn't super intriguing, and the gameplay wasn't extraordinarily fun. In fact, I did a complete replay of Jedi Survivor in between the two parts of that one big gap because at first I had a small problem with my PS5 that I had to get fixed, and after I did, I was just really wanted to play Jedi Survivor, so I completely played through that. Under this reason of I wasn't gonna have enough time to stream, but I realized that I just wasn't feeling up to playing it, and ultimately I got back and finished the game, and nothing was too impressive. The stealth system is completely terrible in this, and I feel like, even though from what I heard is they did change it so it wasn't an instant fail and you would just go into a combat situation, but some of those combat situations just took forever or were next to impossible. And this is especially shown in there's the one I can't remember, the planet's name, but it's where you're sneaking through to free the rebel prisoners. It's the planet from the first Aftermath book by I think it's Akiva. Just going through everything in my head. I think it's the planet's name, but it's just it was completely insane that this AI is just well, AI for the characters is so great that it could just see you really out of nowhere, and you couldn't do takedowns in that specific thing because you'll be noticed. So yeah, it just took me like way too many attempts, but I was eventually able to figure it out. That was not as bad as the tutorial to stealth, and that was miserable. I think I spent at least 20 attempts and over an hour just to figure out that section. It was just not designed well and really didn't like it. And then there's also just so many other things where the enemies are difficult and the character you're playing as is just a relative nobody, so yeah, you're not really having too much to go for you, and at least it's honest to what the character is that she shouldn't be easily blasting through everything, but she's honestly like one of the weakest, or if not the weakest protagonist for a video game that I've really ever played. And there's also some things that are completely ridiculous that she survived. For example, there was that one time when they tossed like a thermal detonator at her, and she should have died from that explosion, but I have no idea why she is still alive. I don't know, maybe it wasn't supposed to be a thermal detonator, it was supposed to be like a stun grenade or something. But it looked like a thermal detonator, and just going through just so much more of this, it was, as I said, it was just completely not great with the stealth, and that's a lot what it's built around. Now, honestly, what I think it really should have been is, I think it would have worked a lot if they went very similar to the game Hitman, where you're basically, knocking out enemies throughout the map, and you can actually, like, put disguises on. And you also have to move them so they aren't being seen. And I just think that would work so much better as a stealth system for this. But sadly, they just didn't, and I really enjoy that in those Hitman games because I'm pretty decent at stealth and not a complete master, but when I'm playing Arkham, I very rather prefer to play a Predator section versus a combat section because I think I'm a lot better with that and sort of just planning out a method. But with this, it just feels like I'm just trying whatever works best because basically everything was almost next to impossible. Also, the story for this is basically non-existent. The entire story is the first heist, you get stranded on the planet, and then you find your way off, and then you go to recruit a few members. You have some important stuff for her to go and retrieve Nix from Java, and then to help the commando droid, I think it was ND was his name, and then you do the final heist, and that's really it. It just felt like it was a lot of just side content being tossed into the story, and like the story wasn't really super well thought out, and they intended for you to be doing a lot of stuff in between, but I feel like they could have went a little more towards the heist movie or heist story and went into them doing some smaller jobs or some getting some stuff that they needed because it just honestly felt like, well, it literally was, you just built up the crew and then a second after that they activate the quest for the final heist. So I don't know, I just feel like that it went from what would be like the beginning, middle of the movie, if this was a heist movie, to the complete end of the story. You really didn't have too much time to interact with any of the crew members, and I mean, I think there was like, I can't even remember fully what they were. I remember there was a Rhodian, the Twi'lek Rebel, and there was like a Rhodian droidsmith, the Twi'lek Rebel. I can't remember the species' name, but she was a bomb maker, and I think that was it. I honestly don't remember, but is that this game? I mean, it's okay. There's some fun stuff you could do, and the one thing I really liked was, although it was extremely annoying and difficult, I like the fact that the Imperials are actually a serious threat in this, and it's people you don't want to go across, and I definitely didn't like facing the Empire whenever I did because they were genuinely terrifying to go up against. And the exact same for the Hutts. Although not as powerful, it still felt like it just wasn't a good idea to go and cross them, but the entire faction thing didn't matter too much to the main story. And just going to the twist at the end that this entire thing was an ISB plan to go and beat out rebels from the underworld, and it was okay of a twist. I feel like they just wanted a reason for Vader to show up, and I mean, I guess it's fine. I honestly really didn't care. I think that in the Jedi games, Vader was used so much better. It is absolutely terrifying the first time you see Vader in Jedi Fallen Order, and you're just genuinely terrified as he kills Trilla, and then you even try to fight him. He just destroys you, and the game just forces you to run or die. So that was really great. And then you have that extraordinarily difficult boss fight in Survivor, and After that, you see Seer's death to just help keep Vader completely terrifying. And you know that Cal stands absolutely no chance against Vader. But looking at this, Vader just sort of exists here. He isn't doing anything too terrifying. He executes the one guy, and we learn this is the person who's burning together as Crew's brother, and that he betrayed him, and now he's wanting to get revenge. And I did mention the heist movie earlier, and this is just a completely predictable heist movie. It goes basically by, heist movie, but it's a game, because obviously it's a game, but it follows that heist storyline where they gather a crew, they go to get the job. In the job, something goes wrong, and one of the crew members betray them, and then they have to go and escape, even though they didn't get the prize, but the prize is like the friends they made along the way. So yeah, predictable, extremely typical heist story, and yeah, honestly, it's really all I have to say about that. The story wasn't that incredible. The characters are okay. Probably the best part of this is Nix, and Nix just being kind of this awesome little guy that's with you for nearly the entire game. And having the kind of like final boss, because it never really felt like you were fighting bosses in the game, but the final like fight encounter being ND was pretty good in having it show how terrifying commando droids are. So yeah, so I think the best thing they did in this is making certain factions and enemies seem really terrifying. But the one thing I honestly just really think they missed out on was putting Black Sun into this. I feel like that could have been just really interesting, especially since they haven't done too much with Black Sun. I know that I believe his name is pronounced Gizor is now part of canon, and there's this entire thing where he's a rival of Darth Vader. Honestly, what could have been the interesting thing is Vader working with this ISB director to go and take down Black Sun because of that rivalry between the two. Obviously, that was in Legends, but all the characters are in canon, so they can just bring these storylines back, and that would honestly just be a really interesting thing to do. Instead, they decided to toss in this completely made up group that they had for this. I don't think it's made up. If it wasn't, it really wouldn't matter too much to me because this clan where they had this queen really wasn't too interesting. I think it could have been really interesting to see Vader wanting to take down rebels, but also wanting to go against his rival Palpatine once again, adapted into the new canon where it could have been this entire thing where we have Black Sun on one side and we have this sort of storyline in the background with Vader and his hatred of them. And we don't see the downfall of Black Sun in this. That could be saved for something else. Maybe a new adaptation of Shadows of the Empire or something like that. But I think that could have been just really cool. Apparently there was some stuff in the files for Black Sun, but they should have switched out that one clan which was on, I believe, Kajimi, and just switched it out with Black Sun, which would have been way more interesting. But yeah, honestly, I think that's really all I have to say about this. And I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.